of heard of Calamity Jane, and I'm hoping that the sound was being picked up here too. So if you're new to my work, then welcome. Oh, what's happening? It's switched off again. Is that the battery that's gone on this? Right, you'll have to bear with me for a second. Okay, so I'm scared to plug this into the laptop in case the laptop goes. Right. Okay, different lights on. Let's go with it. So, the affirmation is I notice and celebrate my achievements, even the small ones. Okay. And the fact that I'm just achieving to be alive tonight is clearly an achievement. Um, so the research behind this idea of small wins, okay, comes from quite a few different authors who have studied this, the field of psychology. There's a few people that are key to what we're talking about tonight. Teresa Amabile and Steven Kramer, and they talked about the progress principle. And they studied thousands of employees and found that the number one motivator wasn't big bonuses or grand goals. It was making small, meaningful progress in their daily work. And James Clear from Atomic Habits, and I've mentioned his book a few times on my 30-day program as a really useful book to get, talks about how habits are compound interest of self-improvement, 1% better each day, exponential change over time. So I may well have mastered the art of setting up a light system, a camera, and streaming live from Zoom into YouTube using a second laptop by the end of the week. I'll keep my fingers crossed for that one. So habits are compound interest of self-improvement. And so what can compound mean? It's like compound interest in the bank is you keep adding to it and it grows and it grows. But we actually know from neural pathway brain research, neuroscience, is that sometimes the habits that we do every day have clearly got neural pathways that are well embedded in the brain. So we don't necessarily want to give up something without replacing it with something else. So these new habits that we do every day, if we keep doing them, we build up the momentum, but actually we see that the brain lights up in different ways under the brain imagery technology. And it's about doing something every day to build onto that. And, you know, I don't want to give the impression that I do this stuff all the time, because I can have a tendency sometimes to slip and just, you know, think, oh, I'm too tired today. But what I've noticed, and in particular, before I went on my trip to Wales, over the last few months, I've been going swimming. And I wanted to go swimming a couple of times, 3 times a week. I just love swimming. And when I go to in the camper van, I tend to do a lot more walking. And so really built up doing the steps every day. But one of the things I've noticed as I've got older and having some injuries that have never fully healed is that I come back home and I start to lose the impact that has had. And I do less walking. So this week I've really had to bring out that other facet of myself that says, no, get out there, do that walk, get out there, do that walk, so that I can keep that going. So we don't go through these highs and lows, and we keep the wins that we've garnered. And the older we get, we haven't got the same chemistry in our body. Our muscles can decrease quite quickly, and maintaining what we're building up can feel like that easily slips away. And I certainly noticed that because, you know, I started going to the gym when I had my son, and, you know, that was over 30 years ago, and I was going for about 15, 20 years on regular 2 or 3 times a week. So I know the difference of what it feels like to get fit and maintain that fitness, but also how that can slide off, especially if you have an injury. And if you're already fit and you have an injury, it makes it easier to recover than if you're doing nothing at all. And I really saw this when I was doing some voluntary work for the Red Cross. Part of that work was we had an ambulance that used to pick people up that could otherwise get stuck in accident and emergency because they'd had a fall and injured themselves. And we would take them home and make sure that they were okay and they had everything they needed when we got them home. And we could really see the difference between people who were really active and had then had a fall, had an injury, and those that weren't, and how long it took them to get up and about again. So we're looking at this through the psychology lens of small wins, the dopamine release. The dopamine motivates us to keep going, and then the big goals without milestones overwhelm the nervous system. So that can trigger avoidance. So the small win builds up into those bigger goals. But if we create a goal that's too big, like you want to run the marathon, you think, right, I've got to run 18 miles every day. No, you start off with couch to 5K, you run for 5 minutes, you do that for a few days, run for 10 minutes, and you build it up so that your body gets used to that. And if you've had any past trauma, you don't want to put your body under too much stress and overwhelm straight away, because you're already primed for your brain sort of looking out for any dangers, you see. So anything that feels like it's going to be taxing. So I want to give you an idea of what examples of small wins can look like. And these can seem really small to people. But with some of the people I've worked with, in particular, some of these, is if you have experienced depression and you struggle to get out of bed and then gather any kind of momentum, or you feel stuck, or you think that you procrastinate a lot, then waking up in the morning, and one of the things to do before you even wake up in the morning is, before you go to bed, set the tone of how you want it to be when you wake up in the morning. And you say to yourself, when I wake up or the alarm wakes me up, I'm getting up and I'm getting out of bed. That's it. No, I'm not going to touch the alarm and go back to sleep, touch the alarm, go back to sleep. That's almost like the worst thing that you can do. So you wake up, you get out of bed, and then you make your bed. And this is how we start, excuse me, the cycle of momentum. And then when you get out of bed and you either go for a shower or a bath, or you do some yoga and you put something in next, but you don't think about the whole day, and you don't even think about the whole morning, you just think about that first thing that you've got to do. Now the blood's circulating around your body, now that your brain is starting to get active, but you also need to be really careful what kind of thoughts are going through your head at that moment. So having an affirmation or a mantra that says, I am focused and moving towards having a positive and happy day. But if you're in a bit of a negative state and you're flat, that can seem like a really big leap to go to believe that you can have a happy day. So it might be, I'm getting up and making my bed because it's important to me. I know that one small thing is my small win. And when I've done that, I can do my next small win and my next small win. And I've chatted to a few clients lately and said that if you can do that in the morning, and also use the power of smell, that if you're having a bath, I tend to have a bath because I use a lot of Epsom salts. But if you have a shower or a bath, you can have buy a bath foam or a shower cream of a smell that you really like, because that connection with the smell and putting that as part of your routine is where you actually start to create a much stronger habit, because every time you smell it, it takes your awareness to that smell, how much you enjoy that, and that moves you through to the next zone. And then if you can, go for a 5-minute walk. If you're working from home in particular, or you're not working at all and you're at home, is going for a 5 or 10-minute walk, even when you don't feel like exercising, can shift that state. And then saying no once to something draining and reclaiming your energy. Drinking 1 extra glass of water. I've always got a bottle of water at the side of the bed or by the sofa, and when I'm working, and writing a single sentence in your journal. So the habits, that what you do the moment you open your eyes can set the tone for the whole day. So if you've already got some negative thoughts circulating and you allow those to permeate, and you don't get out of bed and you lay there and all those old thoughts or patterns come in, it makes it feel like it's a mountain that you have to climb before you even have got out of bed and done your thing. And even if you're getting up and going to work, it's that sort of swift action that stops the brain from bringing in all those other things that you normally tell yourself, that then gets you stuck in that place. So also send that email or have that call or something that you've been putting off, and that clears any mental clutter that you've got about that. And for parents, having one joyful moment with a child instead of worrying about having a perfect day. And one of the things I used to say to a lot of the parents I come into contact with is if there's a lot of stress that you've had and it's been going from one thing to the next for days on end, the moment you have an opportunity to spend some time just doing nothing and defragging, and if you haven't got the kids, see that as your opportunity to pause. Don't fill it with lots of other things and days out and things to do, because if we're busy, 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 we need some rest time. If we're not sleeping that well, we need to get a proper sleep, because sleep is humongous. It's a big, massive factor in the mental state that we experience moment to moment. And if you're already vulnerable to having negative self-talk and getting stuck in that, or getting stuck in moods, then you have to be proactive about what you say to yourself. And I remember it wasn't just since my car accident, but even before then, if I laid in bed too long, I would just feel like the aches were getting worse. So the fact that I needed to get up and go and do some stretching, but I needed to have a shower or a bath before I did that to warm up my body, was the two things that I put in place that ended up becoming a natural habit. So notice your daily wins, the small wins. You got up, you sent that email, you had a conversation, you tackled something. So I was even putting off the idea of going to see the mechanic, really, because it was like, oh, it's all the way over there. I want to just chill out at home for a few days. I go through these massive energy fluctuations, and when I've got a high level of energy, I switch everything off and I focus on creating all the different things that I do in my projects. And then, I can have this moment where I need to just rest completely and don't do anything. But I knew he'd been on holiday for 2 weeks, and I knew that the moment that he was back, other people were going to start taking their cars and vans to go and see him. So I went yesterday, first day back. A poor man had only been back in his office like half an hour, and just opening up his laptop. And anyone who's been away for a couple of weeks and then goes back to work knows that's the last thing you want is someone standing at your desk asking you to do something. But I've got a trip coming up, and so I've got a really small segment of time. And anyway, there's a couple of things I need him to look at. And so I was able to take it today to get him to look at that, because actually he's away again on Thursday. He's going to Grand Prix in Italy. I think it's a Grand Prix. And so he was going to be away for another 4 days. So that meant that the couple of things that I really need to do before my next trip, if I hadn't have timed it and kind of said to myself, come on now, sort that out, it wouldn't got sorted out. And I have ignored things in the past. I've just gone, oh, no, I can't do that. I'm not facing it. And left it, when really I should have just gone, get up and sort it out. And sometimes you need that in a part of you. You need those different parts of yourself to the other part of yourself to have a word. So not the critical parent that says, why are you doing that? You always leave that. And that's what critical part. You need to move that voice out of the way and become your own internal coach that says, come on, get up. You know that you feel good when you open the curtains and you put the washing in the machine and you write down the 3 things that you want to achieve that day, and you make your bed and you get things in order. And it makes real sense to me now why the Army and Navy are really strong on this kind of thing. And then celebrate that. So at the end of the day, don't look at this went wrong, that went wrong, and I only kept this good mood for half an hour. If you kept it for half an hour more than you normally do, and you didn't go into a state of stress and oscillate into any big stresses or crises, then you're doing really well. And you need to celebrate at the end of the day by saying it out loud. I did well. I met those 3 targets, got out of bed, I sorted this out, and actually this week. And so you've got to build on that. Don't let yourself slip. And this is what you call stacking. So we started this program. I did the sort of pre-7-day chat on Sunday night, and we've set this up for 7 days. And so I'm stacking the progress I'm kind of not making with my lighting and my laptop. But I'm stacking the progress in terms of if this was maybe 5 years ago when I was asked to do a presentation or a talk, one of the things that used to really stress me out was the idea that the tech would go, that it wouldn't work. And here's me relying on a presentation so that I could talk to people. And if that went, it was like, oh my God, that's like the worst thing that could happen. So sometimes the universe just throws this stuff in the mix and you just got to get through it and go, you know what? We dealt with it. I'm here. I've turned up. And it's a blessing anyway, isn't it? That I can have conversations with people that live all over the place. And by the way, if you've just tuned in or just started watching my videos, I'm based near London in the UK and I've worked down this area and for about 30 years and about to go towards the north where it'll get a little bit cooler, and I may do some lives while I'm on the road. I'm not sure yet. I've no real idea how the diary is going to pan out. So remember, stack those actions. At the end of the day, it's really crucial. What went well? What did I do well today? So I got to the mechanic. I needed to do that walk. So when I left the van, rather than jumping in the cab or on the bus and getting back home, I decided I'd walk to the next village where the shops are, have a coffee and meander there for a couple of hours and do some, because I can work from any location really. And that was a good walk that I had yesterday. I decided to drive to the country park. And even though it was thunder and lightning and like literally flooded the whole car park, within about 2 hours, just about half an hour before I left, sun came out. It was absolutely glorious. And I had a walk around the lake. So that is trying to get that walk in, and I'll be doing the same tomorrow. So the affirmation and the journal prompt to go with this. So you want your journal and a pen. The affirmation is every step forward counts. Be mindful if you tell yourself, I'm a procrastinator. If you use language like that, I'm stuck. So you've got to be really mindful of the language you use. You need to use process language, which is I'm getting better and better at moving forward. I am moving forward one step at a time. So be really, and this is why I use these affirmations. They're really important because our language can literally change our energetic state. And tomorrow we're going to be looking at changing state. And actually, the exercise that I do with changing state, when I do it live, I love doing that. I did it at my last workshop in the Kent Wellbeing Festival. So I had a marquee and there was about 45 people. I had a plan. I wasn't quite sure how I was going to deliver on that plan. And I picked up the energy, and it was, I could really feel this sort of stuckness. And I did say to people, how many of you are feeling stuck at the moment? Okay, well, when you're feeling stuck, you don't want to just sit there and listen and have somebody talk at you. So I get people up, and we did about 4 or 5 different physical exercises, not like running and cross training, like actual exercises that come from NLP. So I could teach them how you could shift a state really quickly in your mind and in your body. So the journal prompt that goes with this is, what's one small action that I can take today that moves me closer to the life I want? Okay, so that could be that you want to move further towards a life that feels good. So what's the actions that you take that move you towards feeling good? You want a life where you've got better, stronger connections. So what actions can you do to do that? So like I said, there's different ways of working with that. And if you want any help, you can always contact me, melgbb555@hotmail.com, and put in the subject bar 7-day challenge, and we can set up an exploratory call and do some work together to move you forward. I normally do at least 3 sessions, so we can have a look at where are you now, where do you want to be, and what's going on that's sort of getting in the way of that. So what is the action that you can take you closer to the life that you want? And then you know, like the times I've had tonight and yesterday, it's not the first time I've experienced this sort of chaos when it shows up. And I guess years ago, I would do anything to try and prevent being seen as being in that chaotic moment. And actually, it's just the way stuff happens. In fact, I'll tell you about the story of what happened last night. because I had a really late night and my mind was really active after I'd done the challenge. I'd had a few conversations. I was working on some of the videos. I was editing some of the videos I'd recorded, and it was about 12 o'clock, half 12. And I pulled the curtains over, and I've got some bags on the curtain frame. I pulled the curtain too hard. It was like something out one of those films where you see the machine moving along, where the ball hits the block, that hits the train, that hits the other ball, that moves the thing further down the track. So anyway, the coat hanger knocked into the mirror that was on the wall, and the mirror just fell off the wall and crashed onto the floor. And I looked at it, and it's glass, I mean mirror glass. Luckily, not too many little pieces. And it was really late. I was like, right, that is what I'm going to sort out in the morning, because the last thing I wanted to do is being really tired and trying to clean up the glass and having glass splinters everywhere. So yeah, it was a bit of a calamity day today, and my son's done equally something like that tonight. So yeah, I need to go out and buy some plates and some glasses and now a new mirror. But we get through these situations. They happen, and that's the thing to tell yourself. There's worse things that could happen. So tonight we've explored the idea that big change doesn't come from massive leaps. It comes from those little steps that we take every single day. So like I said, the research shows that in psychology, the research shows that psychology confirms it, and our lived experience proves it too. So one small win is as simple as showing up when everything is against you, taking a walk when you'd rather stay in bed, writing one sentence when you don't even have the chapter in front of you, or saying one small no that protects your energy. These little choices stack up, and they shift how we see ourselves. They build trust in our own resilience, and they create momentum that carries us forward. So if you do nothing else tonight, notice one small win that you've had today and celebrate it, because every step forward counts. And when you're stacking them, your whole life begins to shift. So I'd love to hear from you if there's a step that you made, or if helped prompt a thought that you thought I can do, and put that in the comments. And if you've got any questions, or you want the workbook that goes with this 7-day challenge, because you can rewatch it, be reminded, or do the workbook and the affirmation ebook, email me, melgbb555 at hotmail.com, and in the subject bar you can put ebook and a 7-day challenge workbook, and I'll send that to you. So I look forward to seeing you tomorrow, and we are going to look at shifting your state. This can be a challenge for some people, so I want you to be open-minded about the real possibility that you can really shift your state, even if you feel stuck and procrastinating. And in that, just say to yourself tonight, set the intention, I'm going to learn to shift my state more effortlessly, and I'm intrigued in the ways that I can do it. Okay? And if you feel some resistance to that, ask yourself what it is that you lose as a result of you being able to do something that works more effectively for you. Okay, so you might have to replay that back. So shift your state. And after tomorrow, because that's day 3, we're then going to do gratitude in action. And gratitude has a lot of research behind it. It isn't part of, some new age idea. In separation, without other things in place, it's not necessarily enough, but it can make a big difference. So gratitude, and then the next day is the pause button. Pause is really important, we don't realize. And then play and curiosity is day 6. And then day 7 is around rest, which interestingly falls on a Sunday, which used to be the day of rest before the shops opened 24/7. Well, they do pretty much around here where I live. So yeah, like and subscribe and press the bell if you want to get a notification. And I may have my oracle cards tomorrow, and maybe the magician has returned. That would be interesting to see whether he comes back in the pack. All right, so goodbye for now, and I hope you've enjoyed tonight's session. Even though it started off chaotic, I might join a little bit earlier tomorrow just to make sure everything is working and it doesn't crash my laptop.